Hello everyone, today we will talk about how we could actually debug performance of our Salesforce org. So if you will find out Hyperforce Assistance chapter, so here we have something called Scale Center, and under Scale Center we have something called Performance Analysis Assistant, and from there we could actually find out basics related to the way how we could actually, let's say, deal with our performance. Let's say what is the scalability, what is the performance. So from here we will be able to watch required videos for us in order to be able to see what kind of features Salesforce provide and how they work. Also, it will help us, to review what exactly we have in our organization and how it could be, let's say, tested and how it could be improved. So here we have links to the required articles, which could help us to build specific, let's say, skill set for our, team members in order to be able to analyze our org performance. So if we will go to the org performance, so from there we will be able to observe, let's say, specific performance metrics searcher, and from here we could decide, what time period we would like to analyze, and then we are clicking on submit. So once it's done, so here we are getting, consolidated number of errors that we have in our organization, like for example number of file logins, number of concurrent apex errors, plus here we have information about possible causes. So once it's done, what we could do is we could actually go and review results of that specific, let's say, scanner for our organization. So at this moment we are looking for time period, and we could see that, for example, for the specific period of time, mostly it started at 9, there was, concurrent apex errors, right? So we could at least understand when it's, what is the time period when it's mostly happening. So next, we have average time for the platform to process and send requests per 10 minutes. And here we could see, what is the number of report requests, REST API requests, SOAP API requests, and if required, we could actually disable others and, for example, just observe required for us, I don't know, like average UI request time, in order to be able to understand how, our organization behave in terms of one of these metrics. But in general, we're getting all of them consolidated here in one report. So then what we have, it's total request volume. So here, for example, we could see that starting from the specific period of time, the number of requests that we have in our organization are becoming bigger. And for example, we could see that, for example, number of interaction when users starting to use actually UI in our organization starting to grow at 4 o'clock, right? And then during the day, it's becoming bigger and bigger. So next item is total CPU time spent on the user code execution per 10 minutes. So here we could see that, for example, DB CPU time was very big for that specific time frame, and then CPU was, constantly growing, starting from time between 4 and 5 o'clock. So then we have a number of successful and failed logins if it's required for us to know, then average callout time. Also, breakdown per 10 minutes period. So here you could see that sometimes when we have the number of synchronous callouts, the number of those callouts, let's say, very big at the specific period of time. So then we have, let's say, callout errors, so the total number of errors encountered while making a callout to an external endpoint. And here, for example, we could define, what was the biggest volume for which kind of synchronous or asynchronous callout. So then we have other metrics related to limit of, let's say, average time to execute asynchronous runner jobs. So here you could see we have queuable jobs, we have feature jobs, and we have dashboard refresh jobs. So next one is total async and queue count, right? So here we could see at which specific period of time we have mostly loaded our system, by executing all these queuable or feature jobs. And additional one, average time is took to the queue asynchronous runner jobs. So for all these metrics, if we are interested to get more information about some specific time period, what is possible for us to do is to select that specific period. So then select this drop down here. So from there we could select consolidated report if you would like to get it, or we, for example, could get information from it related to specific chapters that we're interested. So for example, if you're interested just in integration performance, we could just select it. If you're interested in generals, we could select consolidated report. So once it's done and that report is ready, what is possible for us to do is to be able, so from here we could see actually consolidated report. So total request volume, request per 10 minutes, as we saw previously. So then we have different kind of chapters that we decided to include, like for example, Apex concurrency, Apex summary, database performance, if there will be some, let's say, top SQL queries by DB CPU time usage, failed login, flow performance, and like others. And from here we could see, like what is, like the biggest SQL queries that taken the most of the time, and maybe after that we could think how we could actually optimize it in general to increase our performance of our organization. So next item that I would like to discuss, it's related to Salesforce Optimizer. It's actually, let's say, functionalities that actually allowing us to understand what kind of items we have in Salesforce that need to be fixed. Let's say hard-coded URLs, I don't know, like not used user licenses and so on and so forth. And what it's possible here is we could run it monthly or just do it manually. And here we have, let's say, great articles that explain what exactly errors we could have. Like, for example, unused dashboards, or for example, unassigned page layouts, fields on the page layout, API version that is old, hard-coded URLs, and so on and so forth. So here we have, let's say, big amount of items that specific report will find, and once we will click on one of them, we will be able to actually see, like where it actually occurs, link to the Salesforce documentation from where we could read more, recommendation how to deal with it, and actual result, what is found in the Salesforce. So next interesting topic that we will review is possibility for us to actually get metrics from the Salesforce about different kind of event types which is happening in Salesforce. Like for example, if you're interested in I don't know, like some metrics related to platform encryption, Apex Cloud, Apex execution, something related to API, we could actually get event log file. But when we will try to get it from the Salesforce via that manner, as well, here we have Lightning page view and Lightning performance, which is, like interesting metrics, and sometimes they are really required for us to investigate. So usually those kind of metrics are used by some external tools where, for example, our organization could try to track performance of the Salesforce org. It could be, for example, Datadog or some other systems. And from there, we could see, how to get it. So once we will click on that log file, so here we'll get a link to the URL that we need to access in order to be able to get that specific event log file. So once we get it with a GET request from the workbench, so from here we could see, like number of columns. Let's say what was the organization ID, user ID, what was the session key, like and all this type, what was the device, and so on and so forth. And here we will be able to track all of this. Let's say what was the browser, what was the country, what was the like time spent for that specific request, and by that manner we could actually build any kind of reports, dashboard related to performance in our external, let's say, monitoring system, if it will be required to have it in addition to this one, because this one, as you could see, it's more like general metrics related to our organization. And these files is actually allowing us to get it with more details to be able to analyze, like what exactly we're having for which user, right? And to get, like more detailed view. Next item is related to actually page performance. So sometimes when we are working with a page, we are going to the page builder, and from here we could actually click on analyze, and from here we will be able to get our let's say statistic related to our page and what actually could be optimized and what is like impacting performance of our page. And at this moment it looked like I loaded it a lot time ago, so that's why it looked like session on that page is ended. But anyway, you got the idea. So if you are on the page builder page, you could click on analyze, and then you could actually analyze page performance for your specific page. So what is the predicted page load time, like what is the performance breakdown, what kind of components here actually taking the most of the time, and it will help you to organize, let's say, your page in terms of the performance. Because sometimes, for example, for the sum of the flows that you added to the page, you could hide them and then make them available only when you're putting them at the specific page, and so on and so forth. So next tab here, it's event log file browser. So from here you could also see the same, but with the possibility to download a specific CSV file. And one more additional chapter is related to the possibility for us from debug logs to get information related to our transaction in terms of performance. So let's imagine that you got your log, and then for example you decided to analyze the performance. So then you could actually click here on the performance tree and break down it into the appropriate areas, and then you could actually click here on the timeline and execution overview. So once you got that specific item, you could double click on it, and as you could see, it's refresh execution log file, and then it help you to understand, let's say, what kind of interaction in general taking more time for you, let's say in terms of your entire transaction, and then you could investigate it with the help of the tool, how you could increase performance of your functionality, what kind of like method execution, so loan, where is the heap size, use it the most, and so on and so forth. So development console is also like very useful for that. And in that case, if you would like to go to that mode, you just need to select all, because if you will be in something like a debug or some another mode, it will not show you all of these details. So thank you guys for the attention. Cheers.